Our speaker, Owen Thomas, has come to share their experience, strength, and hope with us in the specific area of the BGA toolkit and the 12 steps of DA. Welcome, Owen Thomas.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Shayna. Hi, my name's Owen Thomas. I'm a debtor and under-earner and workaholic.
Hey, Owen.
I'm gonna take a moment to breathe. You know, these Zoom meetings, I can get high off of the everyone talking at once, all of the chat things, and it's really easy to then like you just not feel spiritually connected in a moment. So, I'm really grateful that I don't even. I'm like, okay, what was my first meeting? This was my first meeting in its, original physical form. About in October 2017, I was living in sober living. I didn't have a job. I didn't really have money for food, and I remember someone sharing that this meeting has breakfast at 8 and a meeting at 8:30, and that was like literally what got me there. Was like free food, yes. Um, and there was over 100 people that identified as like a lot of things, right? I heard debtor, I quickly heard under earner, I heard business debtor, I heard hoarder, I heard compulsive shopper, overspender, vague about numbers, perfectionism. Just a lot of character defects, as I'm coming to realize that I definitely connect with. Um, and it just like, it was terrifying. I was pretty broken, and I was in sober living because that was like my best thinking of like finding a place that could get rent paid for by my health insurance that I only had because of my ex-partner continuing, to pretend like we're still together on their business. So thank you for that. And it was just pretty unmanageable. To talk a little bit about like what it was like, I just had no idea how when things were coming out of my bank account. I was like driving Uber at the time and like, didn't remember that I had to pay for gas and car insurance in order to then make money to pay for those things. And there were many a days where I like was calling my parents unaware that my car insurance payment had just posted and I didn't have money for gas or to pay that. And my last my last credit card purchase was around that time of like March 2017, where I overdrafted like a car rental so that I could use that car rental to drive Uber and make money. Still paying that off, like grateful for it. I don't know why it allowed me to overdraft as much as it did, Now they don't. Like now they wouldn't. But I'm really grateful that at that point in time, like that was my best tool. Was just like spending money that wasn't mine, using other people's credit cards. And my family was like, I'm really grateful that I grew up in an abundant home. A lot of like money was offered to me for like dinners or things. But I would often like ask for more than I needed, and like that was how I saved, was just lying and stealing from my parents. Um, and like, if I had money, I spent it. I was maybe frugal about how I did it. We were always talking about like a deal and that being a reason to spend more. But that's like kind of what I learned from my parents was like, if you have it, you should spend it. And So when I came into program, I was told just to like keep track of your numbers one day at a time. Um, so I found, a spending app and I inputted the SoCal DA like suggested categories into that. And, it's on a daily basis. It's difficult to spend that extra 10 seconds at the cash register inputting that, My mind really wants me to be like, I'll do that in the car, and I won't, like I just won't. In
That's
between
5 minutes.
thank you. In between the register and the car, 20 other things come up that I don't input it. So I have to be that awkward person that's on my phone at the register so that I input it. But what I remember resonating with is that, I had no idea like what my numbers were. I had no idea where I was spending my money. Obviously, I was making some and it wasn't going to rent, and like where was it going? I had no idea. So each day I kept my numbers. It felt like a page of a book that started to tell a story that was based on factual information. And it's like just a really helpful story of what I'm doing with my money in my life. And I just wanted to share some numbers. Like today, I have like two bank accounts that both have thousands of dollars. In one checking account, I have $7,374. In another savings account, I have $9,705. And I have like 130 in savings. Like literally coming from like overdrafting negative, 4 years later, it's really exciting to see 4 digits. Um, I went from again having like just maxed out credit cards to now just having like $1,625 in one and 255 in another. And it's really nice that like, I've had a couple PRGs, pressure relief groups, where you meet with another person, two other people to look at your finances and come up with a spending and an action plan. And the focus has never been like, let's pay this debt down. How can we raise your credit score? It's like, how can we spend more money on entertainment? How can we, like always the area that I don't want to spend money in is clothing. And it's like, how about you buy some new shoes? The other day I was like, the other day I was needing gas. I was like, working, knew I needed it by an appointment later, and I was like, how can I get to the gas station on Olympic that's $2.99 in the next 20 minutes, And I was like, no, I know there's, a nicer gas station on the street that I'm going. And it was actually like $4 more, like in total. It was like so much better to just like hit the gas station that I knew was convenient and that I could afford. Yeah, I learned that I fill my tank up all the way in this program. That I like I am forgetful, so I use the tools that my bank offers of like sending me notifications of I have it send me what my bank account balance is every morning, and I also have it send me anytime that there's an like online purchase. And I every time I get it, I just confirm like, did I have that in my like automatic chart? Yeah, I do. It makes it easy to use that. So what worked for me at the beginning was being honest that like I wasn't making enough to feed myself, to provide shelter. Coming clear with what those numbers were was really helpful. And then I had to start asking for help. Um, I'm in, 74 other 12-step programs, and I would just like say I'm looking for work in my share. And one job at a time, I started being known as someone that would show up for work. And I got called back to another one. And I then got referred to another one because I would just continue saying, like, I'm available, I need work, people would refer me. I then started getting better at that. It was like cleaning houses, working events, doing production, and I came here to be an actor, so how dare I take, production jobs? But it was actually like so nice. I learned I actually really enjoy being of service and helping people shine rather than like needing the attention. I was a nurse caretaker for like a year and some change, and I learned a lot. I still am learning now that like when more money comes in, it's still really tempting to be more vague. Um, and so, is that 10?
It's time.
Thank you. Um, so it's like even more important to dive in and it's a 12-step program, so work in the steps is helpful. I'm not doing that perfectly. I'm kind of stuck on step 3, and like rightfully so in this moment. I need to invite a higher power into this solution. But I will say, as my sponsor always says, half measures avail us quite a lot in this program. So just like being asked to be here today it really feels like God's timing, not my own, thank goodness. I am earning so abundantly in this year, which I'm so grateful for because again, I was willing to like start doing a new line of work. I'm working commission. I'm also now a marketing director for a company. And I'm looking to move out of this apartment, and it's like terrifying to look at numbers like for me and to look at like I need furniture. How much does that cost? Like how much does a bed cost? I have no idea, but I'm willing. I've started a vision board of what I'm looking for in an apartment, and I'm just really excited for like being able to have a spiritual space that's my own. Um, I've just never had that. I've never moved out because I'm not like screaming or getting kicked out or whatever. It's always been yeah, I'm excited to move on because I'm ready for a change. And that I'm willing to like agree to like, however long I said I would give my roommates notice for. Um, Hmm. Anything else I want to share about? Today where my dating looks like it is like being afraid of the abundance, like being afraid of this money that's coming in. Where I self-debt in my business is I don't send invoices on time because it feels like saving. It's like I know that money's coming in, and if I don't have it in my bank account, then I can't spend it. So I don't send the invoice right away. It's a little unmanageable because then it feels overwhelming. So I'm going to continue to bookend with fellows on that. But I check in daily with my tools game team. Shout out to the tools game. Do it, and they at least, I'm not alone in my avoidance, and I'm really aware that that the defect is not working. I'm powerless over wanting to procrastinate, and it really is like sometimes just 10 minutes at a time. Uh, I've been procrastinating for an entire year to call my car service company to schedule an oil change. I did it yesterday. I called them 3 days ago. They didn't call me back. I did again, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's free. Wonderful. You still have a free service. Great. Like, come on in." It was like this thing that I was so afraid because I didn't know how much it cost, and I just asked, like, "Do I, how much will that cost?" Um, You know, that question that is so terrifying. Once I ask it, I actually am finding that I'm having a new experience that I would not have expected in my fantasy around the situation. And oftentimes it's much easier, and people are willing to help and answer questions. When I'm nice and have a clear understanding of what I need help with when I call customer service or trigger unemployment offices, they are willing to help and answer the questions, you know? So, you know, if you're like just tuning in, what worked for me was keeping my numbers one day at a time. That could totally be like what I found on the floor and changed today and what I spent on coffee today. The more I've done that, the more I've been able to then come up with the tools to look at where I am spending my money and how I can continue to pay myself. So, you know, it works. If you work it, it's working. I hope you keep coming back next week. I'll bring the bagels. Nick is going to make the coffee. I feel like I have 30 seconds left. It's just maybe going to be silent for a moment and like let God sing us out. I'm going to encourage myself in this moment to, you know, spend that money I'm saving on a gym and spend it on something fun this weekend. And maybe that's just like going to the beach and getting that $7 coffee. Because I can. Thank you so much. Keep coming back. I'll put my phone number in the chat if you want to outreach. Love you all.
Thanks.
Hey, Owen.
Bravo, Owen.
Well done.
Thank you, Owen Thomas.
Yeah, man, that was awesome.
Owen.
You're a rock star.
Good to hear you, Owen.
Thank you.
I remember when you
Good job,
came.
Owen.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Owen. Thank you.
Good
Thank
message.
you.
Love you.